From the smallest sparrow to the grandest hawk, birds are marvels of evolution, navigating complex skies with astonishing precision. Yet, millions meet an invisible adversary each year, the window. It's a paradox that confounds us. How can creatures with such sophisticated senses, masters of aerial acrobatics, repeatedly fail to see a solid barrier? The answer lies not in their lack of intelligence, but in a profound clash between ancient instincts and the novel demands of our modern, glass-filled world. It's a story of evolutionary brilliance hilariously betrayed. To understand why birds crash, we must first appreciate how they see. A bird's eye is a marvel, often superior to our own in many ways. Unlike humans who perceive a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum, many bird species possess tetrachromatic vision. This means they have 4 types of cone cells in their eyes, allowing them to see into the ultraviolet, UV, range, a spectrum invisible to us. What appears to us as a drab feather or a plain flower might glow with vibrant UV patterns to a bird, guiding their foraging and mating. This extraordinary vision, combined with highly refined instincts, has been crucial for their survival over millions of years. Their keen sight allows them to spot predators from afar, locate tiny insects, or navigate vast landscapes during migration. Their brains are wired for rapid processing, making split-second decisions to escape danger or seize an opportunity. In a world of trees, open skies, and natural barriers, these senses are an undeniable evolutionary advantage, a finely tuned instrument designed for life in dynamic, organic environments. Yet, these ancient adaptations are hilariously mismatched with the stark geometry of the modern human world. Our cities and suburbs are dominated by materials that birds simply haven't evolved to comprehend, vast expanses of glass. What began as a solution for light and aesthetics in human architecture has become an ecological trap for avian life. The very structures designed for our comfort and progress introduce an unprecedented, invisible threat that their otherwise brilliant navigation systems cannot process or overcome. One of the primary culprits is reflection. To our eyes, a window is clearly a solid surface. But to a bird flying at speed, a window reflecting the sky, trees, or distant landscape appears as a continuation of their environment. Their brains, optimized to interpret the patterns of nature, see an unobstructed path, a safe passage, or a desirable habitat. The illusion is so complete that their powerful visual processing, which typically allows them to distinguish between real and perceived objects, utterly fails to recognize glass as a barrier. Equally deceptive is transparency. Think of a glass walkway or a clear pane dividing 2 rooms. To a human, the transparency is obvious. But birds often struggle with this concept of a see-through solid. Their depth perception, while excellent for natural landscapes with varying textures and distances, isn't equipped to interpret a perfectly clear, flat plane. A window might appear as an open corridor, leading to a plant inside a building, or simply as an unimpeded flight path directly into another section of the environment. Their vision effectively sees through the obstacle, negating its existence. Part of this visual misjudgment stems from the bird's unique ocular structure. Many birds have eyes positioned on the sides of their heads, granting them an incredibly wide field of view, often almost 360 degrees. This provides crucial peripheral awareness for spotting predators and scanning for food. However, this wide monocular vision comes at a cost, a smaller area of binocular vision directly in front. Humans rely heavily on binocular vision for precise depth perception, especially with static, close-range objects. Birds, while capable, don't prioritize this frontal depth perception in the same way, making flat, transparent surfaces incredibly challenging to judge. Ironically, a bird's superior UV vision can actually compound the problem. While we might think seeing more colors would help them distinguish glass, it often doesn't. Instead, glass reflections can appear even more convincing to a bird because the reflected light, including UV, contains the full spectrum of the environment behind it. The UV light component in the reflection is perceived as completely natural, further reinforcing the illusion of an open sky or an accessible branch. Their specialized vision, honed to discern subtle environmental cues, is simply overwhelmed by the fidelity of the reflected image. Beyond vision, neurological factors play a critical role. Bird brains are incredibly efficient, optimized for rapid response. When a bird senses danger or sees an open path, its brain triggers an immediate, instinctual flight response. This rapid-fire processing prioritizes speed and evasion over complex analysis. There's no time or neural programming for thinking about a strange, invisible barrier. The primitive, flight or fight mechanism takes over, overriding any potential subtle cues that might indicate danger. They are hardwired to fly towards perceived safety or opportunity. The problem is exacerbated significantly during bird migration. Millions of birds undertake epic journeys, often flying hundreds or thousands of miles, guided by celestial cues and the Earth's magnetic field. Exhausted and focused on their destination, these migrants are particularly vulnerable. When their routes intersect with illuminated cities, especially at night, their ancient navigation systems are thrown into disarray. The familiar patterns of stars are obscured by artificial light, and the glowing urban landscape acts as a deadly beacon, drawing them into unfamiliar and hazardous territories. Nocturnal migrants, in particular, are victims of light pollution. For millennia, these birds used the moon and stars to navigate. Now, artificial city lights disorient them, drawing them off course and directly into urban areas. Instead of seeing an open sky, they perceive a confusing, overwhelming glow. This can cause them to circle buildings repeatedly, draining vital energy, making them more susceptible to collisions, or simply dropping them into unfamiliar and dangerous urban environments where food and shelter are scarce. Not all collisions are due to a simple misunderstanding of space. Sometimes, the reflection itself becomes the target. During breeding season, male birds are highly territorial. When they see their own reflection in a window, they perceive it as a rival male encroaching on their territory. Their instinctual response is to attack, pecking and flying repeatedly at the glass in an attempt to drive off the intruder. This aggressive behavior can continue for hours, leading to exhaustion, stress, and eventual injury as they relentlessly battle a phantom foe that refuses to back down. Beyond territorial disputes, foraging instincts can also lead to collisions. Birds seeking food or mates might be drawn to reflections of berries, seeds, or other birds they perceive in the glass. The illusion is compelling, a succulent meal or a potential partner appears just beyond reach. Their natural drive to acquire resources overrides any subtle environmental cues that might suggest a barrier. They fly towards the perceived reward, only to meet the harsh reality of the solid, unforgiving surface, a truly tragic and ironic consequence of their instinctual drive to survive. The sheer speed at which birds fly significantly contributes to the lethality of window collisions. A bird moving at full speed has milliseconds to process visual information and react. If its brain has already committed to a flight path based on the illusion of open space or transparency, there's simply no time to correct course once the barrier is truly perceived, if it is at all. The impact then becomes inevitable and often fatal, a stark collision of physics and biology where the bird's momentum tragically overpowers its fragile form. While all birds are at risk, certain species and situations amplify the danger. Small songbirds, for instance, are particularly vulnerable due to their sheer numbers, their common presence in suburban areas, and their often lower flight paths. Migratory species, especially those traveling at night, face cumulative threats from light pollution and exhaustion. Juvenile birds, lacking the experience of their elders, are also disproportionately affected. It's not about intelligence, but about the specific behavioral traits and visual processing unique to certain species that makes them more susceptible to these modern hazards. Their survival tools become their greatest weakness. In essence, bird-window collisions are not a testament to avian stupidity, but rather a profoundly ironic consequence of their evolutionary brilliance. Their sophisticated senses and instinctual behaviors, which allow them to thrive in complex natural ecosystems, simply lack the programming to process a transparent or reflective solid. It's an evolutionary blind spot in a world they never evolved to inhabit, a hilarious yet tragic failing of an otherwise perfect system. Their ancient survival mechanisms are simply unprepared for such an alien, human-made challenge. Adding to the problem is the relentless trend in modern architecture towards larger, more reflective, and increasingly transparent glass facades. Architects, driven by aesthetics and energy efficiency, often prioritize sleek, minimalist designs that unfortunately amplify the danger for birds. These buildings become enormous, unyielding traps, creating vast stretches of reflective sky or seemingly open passageways. Without integrating bird-friendly design principles from the outset, new constructions continue to pose significant, predictable threats to avian populations worldwide. The good news is that solutions exist, many of which leverage our understanding of avian vision and behavior. The key is to make glass visible to birds without obstructing human views. This can be achieved through subtle patterns, dots, or lines applied to the exterior of the glass. These patterns, spaced no more than 2 to 4 inches apart, break up the reflection and signal a barrier. Some advancements include UV-reflective films that are nearly invisible to human eyes but glow brightly to birds, providing a crucial warning without altering our aesthetic. Mitigating light pollution is another critical step, especially for nocturnal migrants. Initiatives like Lights Out programs encourage building owners and residents to turn off non-essential lighting during peak migration periods. Reducing upward shining lights, using shielded fixtures, and opting for warmer light temperatures can also significantly decrease disorienting glow. By simply dimming our urban environment, we can help these weary travelers navigate safely, allowing their ancient instincts to guide them under truly natural celestial light, free from artificial distractions. The story of bird window collisions is a poignant reminder of our impact on the natural world, even in seemingly benign ways. It highlights the profound and often hilarious mismatch between ancient evolutionary brilliance and the rapid pace of human development. By understanding the behavioral and neurological reasons behind these accidents, we can move beyond simply mourning these losses to actively implementing solutions. It's a call to conscious design, responsible urban planning, and individual awareness, ensuring that our modern world can coexist with, rather than unintentionally destroy, the very creatures whose aerial grace continues to inspire us.